You ever notice how folks keep telling you to hang around, be patient, show kindness, give 'em another shot? Yeah, I've been through that song and danced too many times. Over and over they keep saying, just wait, things will change. Like the world owes you a happy ending just cause you did all the right things. Well, let me tell ya, kid, hate to burst your bubble, but the world, it don't give a hoot about right or wrong. The universe, it's one big chaotic joke, and guess what? You're the punchline. Yeah, I spent all this time trying to mend folks who ain't even interested in being fixed. Giving them your heart, your mind, your time, hoping. No, begging they'd finally see ya. That they'd treasure ya the way you treasured them. But they don't, do they? They don't see a damn thing, and if they do, they don't give a darn. They like sighing you waiting around, bending, breaking, bleeding, just to keep them comfy. You've been patient all right, probably too patient. Waited for them to value you, to recognize your value, to offer ya even a smidgen of what you've given them. But now you're here sitting in front of me, wondering why you feel so empty inside. Pondering why all that time, all that sweat means squat now that you're on your lonesome. I think they'll change if you just hold on a bit more. Let me tell you something. You won't. Folks don't change cause you want them to. They change cause something shatters, cause they lose everything. And perhaps not even then. Some folks, they're just rotten to the core. And you've been trying to mend rot with band-aids. You gave them your patience, your trust, your hope. Heck, you probably gave them chances they didn't even deserve. Wanted to believe they could do better. And what do you get for it? Disappointment. Over and over, disappointment. You kept hoping, thinking maybe this time it'll be different. But each time they let ya down. Chipped away a bit more of ya every time. Now look at ya. You're weary, worn out, spent. You feel it, don't ya? That weight on your chest. That tightness in your throat. The anger bubbling beneath your skin. Yeah, I know that feeling. It's the same for all of us who've been led astray. Deceived. Taken for granted. Yeah, waited too long. And now you're paying the toll, but you know what? You're still here. And that's where the punchline lands. You're still standing. They didn't bust you all the way. They reckoned they did. But they didn't. Now it's time for you to stop being the patient little puppet. It's time for you to sever those strings and watch them tumble. You were patient. But patience ain't talking you to where you need to be no more. Patience is for dummies now. And you've been played long enough. It's time to bid them farewell. It's time to stop fussing about what they want, what they need, and start fussing about yourself. You see, they're like parasites. They feed off ya, your kindness, your loyalty. But they don't give ya a thing in return. And if ya keep letting them drain ya, there won't be nothing left. Zilch. Here's the unvarnished truth folks hate to spit out. Sometimes the folks you care about, they're the ones holding you back the most. They take and take and take. But when it's time to give, oh, they vamoose. They're occupied. They're weary. They've got excuses. A whole sack full of them. And you're left waiting, still waiting. Always waiting. But I'm telling you now, it's time to stop waiting. It's time to wake up. You've been patient long enough. And now it's time to scorch those bridges and skedaddle. Forget them. They don't merit ya. They never did. Let me tell ya something. People like that, they reckon they're clever. They reckon they got you figured out. They reckon long as they keep pulling your strings, you'll stick around. But what they don't twig is that once you're gone, you're gone. And when they finally open their eyes and see you ain't coming back, oh, that's when they'll freak out. That's when they'll realize they messed up. But by then, it'll be too late. You've got gumption, kid, more than you reckon. They just hoodwinked you into believing you didn't. They made you think you required him, that without him you're zilch. But that's the gag, see? They need ya. You were their pillar, their bedrock. You were the one bearing them up. And once you scray, they'll fall to pieces. Oh sure, they'll act like they don't laugh their head first. They'll pretend everything's hunky-dory, but inside they'll be decaying, just like they've been corrupting you. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna stop waiting. You're gonna stop hoping. You're gonna stop giving them one more chance. You're gonna stop being the nice guy, the patient guy, the one who's always there. You're gonna walk away, and you're not gonna glance back. You're gonna let them fall. And you're gonna let yourself soar, cause kid, you've spent too much time in the shadows of other folks. It's time for you to step into the light. And if that means leaving him behind, so be it. They didn't earn you anyhow. It's gonna smart. Yeah, it's gonna smart like the Dickens. You're gonna feel hollow at the onset, like something's missing. That's the anguish chattering. That's the years of waiting, hopping, believing in folks who didn't merit your belief. But you know what? That sorrow, it's short-lived. Once it's vanished, you'll feel lighter, free. You'll twig you don't require them, you never did. And when they come crawling back, and trust me, they will, you'll look at him and ponder why you've ever cared so much. You'll ponder why you squandered all that time, all that vitality. But by then it won't matter, cause you'll be sturdier, you'll be cannier, you'll be unbound. You know, folks are always so speedy to preach about forgiveness. Let it go, they chatter. Be the bigger person. They don't twig that sometimes letting go means cutting ties, slicing deep. See, forgiveness ain't about making things better. Sometimes it's about making peace with the fact they'll never change. You've been lugging this burden around for too long, thinking if you just forgive, you'll feel lighter. But has it worked? No. Cause forgiveness without self-respect. It's just another way of giving him control. It's time to cease forgiving folks who didn't earn it. Mull over all the nights you spent laying awake, pondering what you did wrong. All the times you replayed conversations in your noggin thinking, maybe if I'd said this or done that, things would be different. But the truth is, it was never about you. They were always gonna let you down cause that's who they are. They took your kindness and worked it into something they could exploit. And you let him cause you reckon being patient would make me see your value. But patience, kid, only works if the other person gives a hoot. And they didn't. There's this notion folks cling to that if you stick around long enough, you'll be rewarded. That if you endure the pain, the disrespect, eventually they'll wake up and twig awake how much they need you. But life don't operate that way. People like him, they don't wake up. They don't have epiphanies. They don't suddenly turn around and become the folks you need him to be. They just keep tacking. They take till you're zapped, till there's nothing left for you. And then they mosey on to someone else. And you're left pondering why you weren't enough. But you are enough. You always were. You just gave your all to folks who were too selfish, too blind to see it. That's the real tragedy, ain't it? You were there, radiating like a lighthouse, offering them more than they ever warranted. And they didn't even notice. But here's the thing. You can't make someone see the light if they're too absorbed in living in the dark. And you've been their light long enough. It's time to flick that switch off, buddy. Let them grope around in the dark without you. Here's the last thing I'll say, and maybe the most crucial. You owe nothing. Not your time, not your patience, not your forgiveness. They had their shots and they blew it. Every single one of them. So now you need to zero on you. Let them scat, and I guarantee ya, the sec you do, the fetters they've had on you will snap. You'll inhale again. You'll feel lighter, mightier, cause you'll ultimately apprehend they needed you more than you ever needed them. And that, amigo, is their greatest loss. So kid, this is your juncture. You were patient. But now it's time to reclaim what's left of you. No more waiting. No more hoping for folks to be what they'll never be. You've played their game long enough. And it's time for you to mosey off the board. Let him fall. Let him crash sands you. Cause, kid, in the long run, the only person standing by your side is you. So be the villain in their tale if you have to. Char those bridges, spark the match. And don't you dare cast back. So go on. Let him loose. And don't cast back. After all, you've waited plenty long.